Hello and welcome. I hope you're safe and well. In today's exciting episode, I do more beading on the Boho Keys jacket.
It's perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Perfect jacket.
So last week there was an episode where I made 2 jackets out of this fabric, and then there was an episode where I decided which beads I would put in each one, and I half beaded this jacket. So yes, this is where we're up to now, and it's actually got quite a weight to it. They look so dainty and fine, but it's not heavy, like they are very small beads, but they're also glass beads, and the jewelry bits are like metal, so there is a decent weight to it. Anyway, so half of it's done, so now I'm just going to do the other half. And in the last episode I mentioned that I am working with the jacket on some glass jars, and I put a book on top. It's because there's strings of very fine beads with metal keys at the end that have got teeth sticking out of them. So you can't work on the bench. If I put them up on, the jars have to be heavy or they would move, and the book on top also has to be heavy or it would move, and the garment would move. And this way it's just at the right height, and I can use my needle and thread without it getting caught on absolutely everything every time I try to pass the needle through. So it may seem awkward. Oh, and this is me noticing when I was doing my work that one of the jars has some kilt pins in there. So I've got one actual tartan fabric that it's a tweed that looks like a tartan, and I've got another 2 printed fabrics that are plaid but look like tartans. So I think I'm going to make some boleros and use up some of those kilt pins. Anyway, so I did some more beading, and so now it's finished, but I've still got lots to do, but the first layer of the fringe around the whole torso of the jacket is done, except the top at the back of the neck, because I didn't have very many of the big keys, and I had to fill in the visible parts. And then once I'd done that, I was like, okay, I've got enough of the small keys to do the back. And this is me just showing you that I think the bottom is too sparse. The bit along the top front centers, I like that. I'm not going to add any more beads there. And around the neckline, I do think it needs some more beads there, but not necessarily keys. So these are all the keys that I have left. It does look like a lot, but they're tiny, tiny, tiny. So yeah. And I wanted to do the cuffs around on the sleeves, and I've still got the back to do. And I also want to do, because it's so spindly and sparse, this fringe at the bottom, I wanted to do a couple more, at least 3. I want to do 3 or 4 layers there. And yeah, so, but the layers in the bottom I can do just beads. They don't have to have keys on them, because it's just the keys that you at the very bottom that you see. Whereas around the neckline and on the sleeves, because they're short sleeves, they're sort of in that area where people look at you. So around the neckline has to have the right amount of keys, and the sleeves I think also do. So this is me sorting them out. So I've got 13 of the large or unique shaped keys for each sleeve, and I've got like 150 more. So it's going to take about 40 keys, I measured it out, to finish each sleeve. And I still have a lot of beads in this beads mix too. So I think I'll do 1 layer of keys on each of the sleeves, But first I'm going to just do another layer of fringe on around the bottom, around the hem, because I'm just worried that, yeah, I just want to know what it looks like when it has 2 rows of beads, because here we go. Oh my God, this took me so long to do. And then I jumped from one bit of footage to the next and it's like, it's all done. And yeah, anyway, it took ages to do. So yeah, this is the second layer of fringe and it looks so much better. Oh my gosh, I'm glad I did it because I was worried. So if you just left it at 2, I think it would look really good. But I'm going to do at least 1 more and hopefully 2 more, depending on the amount of time I have. But I'll leave it as, I finished the second one and, oh, here we go. Oh my gosh. Honestly, it took me so long to finish the second one, and then I finished the neckline as well. So it's got 2 layers, 2 rows of fringe, and it looks so much better. And you can't tell that my first layer was color blocked either, which is good. I was pretty sure that would be the case when I added the second layer. So this one only currently has 1 layer, but you can see that it will need to like another 1 or 2 around the neckline, just because it's, yeah. And the neckline is where you look. So I really need to do that. But yeah, I think I'll do the sleeves next, so I can use up the keys I've set aside for that. And that's all I did for the night. And so then I went on Pinterest again. And because one of my Make 9 jackets is a brooch jacket, so I'm just looking at vintage brooches. And so you just make a black jacket, and then you, instead of buying a billion brooches, you do it with beading. So these are the pineapple ones, and there are just so many different the vintage ones and antique brooches, and they're just amazing because one of the it's like a pineapple was a sign of wealth, and they didn't actually eat them. They just sat them on the table. And yeah, anyway, I love this one with the big glass chunky beads. I do have some big glass chunky beads. And these peas in a pod ones, they're so pretty, this brooch. And then they have a family. I mean, I guess they're earrings and a brooch. But they're so cute. And, speaking of ridiculous, this one here is, I thought it was windmills. I thought it was like Don Quixote, but they're palm trees on like an abandoned island or some desert island or something. And yeah, this is another ridiculous one. Speaking of, look at this basket of flowers. And I'll put a rake in there. And then they have lots of basket of flowers is like a common thing for vintage brooches. They're absolutely gorgeous. And then they also had this one that was a cactus, which is really good. I have lots of green beads, so I think I could do that one. But then they had it in lots of different colors as well. I think it looks less unique and less spectacular if you have one in every color. So I have to decide on, yeah, I think with the novelty brooches, as much as I love them, I just have to do one of each type. Oh, and then I found a tiara of wild strawberries. Isn't it beautiful? Anyway, so then this is obviously the next day, and I haven't done any more. I'm just taking a shot during the day, so it's nice and light and bright. I really like this jacket. It is such delicate work. So the beads are quite small, and yeah, you have to use a beading needle, which is really, really fine. And I'm using Gutermann thread instead of, I normally use a thicker thread. So it's really, really difficult. Gutermann thread I do not recommend it for embroidery or beading because it's very fine and a little too sharp, but you just have to be so careful with it. Anyway, so I've still got loads of beads left. I got a little bit too carried away when I made this bead mix. Because, yes, I guess I can use this bead mix. So here it is from the front, obviously. So I have decided to work on the sleeves next, but I also want beads over the shoulder rise, like the top half of the shoulder seam. So I measured out the top half and using the small keys only because I don't have very many big keys left. I just used the small keys. I did just the top half of the sleeve and it does look good with one row of beads. But I decided that it would look better if it was fuller. So then I went back and I did 2 rows of, see, it does look good. But yeah, I decided it would look better if this one here around the neckline looks so sparse. It definitely needs a couple more rows. But I decided on the shoulders here, I will do 2 rows, see what that looks like. And then in the end, I end up doing 3 rows. So there's the first row has keys along the bottom. So it's like some are 6 beads, then a key, then some are 10 beads, then a key. So it goes 6, 10, 6, 10, 6, 10. And then instead of doing all 3 rows of beads worth of thickness in one go, I do 1 row, then do the other side, then the second row, then the other side, then the third row, and then the other side. And that way you sort of build up how many beads you have, but yeah, it's a safer way to do it. It takes a lot longer, but it will age well, whereas doing it any faster way will not. So I'm admiring my work. It looks amazing, but it's just like very, very fine work. And this is me showing you, I guess it still looks like I've got a lot to go, but those are the keys that I'm keeping for I need at least 40 keys for each cuff. So there's 30 of the small keys and, well, there's actually 13 of the larger and much smaller keys. So I think the cuffs need all different size keys because you're going to see them so clearly, whereas the other ones, they sort of lay down on top of each other. Anyway, this is me showing you that the bead mix is still very full. So yeah, and I've done a bit more work on the shoulder rises at this point. And see, I think they look better when they're a bit fuller. And then because they look so much better with more work in them, I decide that I have to add another layer to the neckline as well, which is what I do next. I was going to do a video on something else, but this jacket is sort of taking my focus at the moment. I guess it's just the same thing over and over and over, but it's just... it's really enjoyable work. And because there's so many different color beads, I just each time I go to stab more beads on, I'm like, oh, and this one will be more yellowy gold, and then I'll do a magenta one, and it's just really interesting. I think this is me deciding that I have to fill in more around the neckline. Again, I'm not going to go in and do one really, really thick layer. I'm just sort of doing... It's about double what it was. So it eventually I think I'll do 3 or 4 thin layers, but this is just the second layer in, and it's just short strands. So, well, relatively short, 6 on each strand. There aren't I didn't add very many with 10 strands in there. So the first layer had keys on the bottom, and then the layer that I just put in is just beads with an anchor bead at the end. And I think it looks good. You can still see lots of gaps, but I think it looks good. The next layer that I put in will be closer to the actual edge of the jacket, edge of the neckline. And I think they'll be much shorter as well, just because that's the area that needs to be filled in. And I still need to do the bottom, and obviously the cuffs as well, but the cuffs are going to be so tricky. I think I need to put them off. So I actually pack up those keys and put them aside, and I I end up doing just a little bit more work on the, oh, this is at the point where I'm like, yeah, I was going to do a different video. And then I was like, oh, whatever. I'll just do a little bit more beading on this jacket because it's, I don't know, this jacket is amazing. It's not like anything else I've done before. So I'm just interested to see what it's going to turn out like. And oh my gosh, if you're thinking about making a jacket out of cotton lawn, like this really, really thin fabric, don't do it. It's so difficult to work with because, yeah, it's a little bit too delicate. You need jackets made out of something robust if you're going to do this much beading on them. But they only had this gorgeous print in cotton lawn, so I had to get it. I just had to. Plus, it was on sale. So, yes. I'm admiring my work once more, and then, yeah, I decide to put the cuffs off because that is going to be so difficult. Like, I can't decide whether to leave it on the mannequin to bead the cuffs or whether I should put it on the bench because now that there's so many keys on there, I don't want anything to get knotted. Anyway, so I decide to leave it on. I actually put it on a smaller mannequin to do another row along the bottom. I haven't finished this row on the bottom, so I think previously you've seen me put the first row on, finish the first row, put the second row on, eventually finish the second row. Well, now I'm working on the third row, and again, there aren't any keys on the bottom. It's just beads. But it makes it look so better because it looks more organic. And yeah, so I haven't finished it because this beading is taking forever, but it's adding a really good weight to the bottom, and it's also making it look, yeah, slightly more organic because I'm not going in a sort of straight line. Anyway, that's where I'm at the moment, and that's it for this video. In the next video, I think I'll be making some jackets because next month I am determined to start doing my Make 9 jackets. So I need to make some black jackets. I need to make at least 2 green jackets because this idea I have for one of the New York City jackets requires a green jacket. And then also I want to do the cottage garden jacket, which also has to be green wool. So I will make those jackets. I think I've only got one bit of green wool, so I think I'll make 2 boleros out of that and yeah, just bead them both differently, plus the black ones, which are going to be the basis for the vintage brooch jackets. But also, I still got all these variations, like they're different sleeves, 3/4 sleeves, puffy sleeves, long sleeves, wider long sleeves for the Berta 6120. So basically the bolero jacket that I'm doing now, different versions of that. That I still haven't done yet. So I obviously drafted all the different pattern pieces, cut out the outer fabric, but I still haven't cut out the netting that I use for the structural layer, and I obviously haven't put them together yet either. So got to do that. So lots of jacket making in my future. But also this beading has been really fun. So thanks for watching. I hope you've been inspired to make a very, very unique lampshady jacket of your own. And this beading has just been so much fun. But yes, I think it's time to put it aside and actually do some jacket making or some real sewing. So, well, beading is sewing, sort of, very decorative. Anyway, thanks for watching and happy sewing.